Pride of Hiigaran. This is Captain Soban of the fleet, Farron Shah. Looks like you could use a hand. Attention all Sobani, pick your targets and engage.
Hello everyone, this is Captain Soban. Welcome aboard the Starship at Normal Primes for our first episode of Homeworld Tactical Fleet Simulator Ship Showcase Series. Alrighty, so in today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at all of the fighters and corvettes you can build on the Hiigaran side. We're going to be taking a look at their strengths, their weaknesses, their special abilities, their stats. We're going to be looking at everything. So to start off, we have our scout squadron right here in front of us. These are the reconnaissance fighters. So their main role is tactical reconnaissance. Their subclass is a light fighter, and they come with one KAC 25 RF, which is a 25mm kinetic cannon turret. Actually, just kinetic cannon gun, not really a turret. And it has one EMP bomb launcher that can be launched at 3.5 kilometers, and the kinetic cannon can be used at 1.6 kilometers. Its sensor system has a 10-kilometer detection radius, and it has a passive sonar ping whenever you upgrade, which I don't think I actually did upgrade for this video. I think I just got all of the research and stuff done. And let's see. Nope, I didn't get the EMP bomb launcher either. Cool. So good at my job. Anyways, its strength, it's good against probes because it's fast and has little to no damage. It's mediocre versus none, which in this mod, they structure what you're good, what you're weak against, and what you're okay against. And strong is what you're good against, mediocre is what you're okay against, and weak is what you're going to lose against. So the reconnaissance fighter is strong versus probes, mediocre versus nothing, and weak against other fighters, corvettes, frigates, and capital ships. Because if I bring this up here, you will see that they do like 25 damage. They have 120 hull, which is split between the 3 fighters. So that's 40 hull per fighter, and they have a movement speed of 600. So they're very fast and they're very weak. They're not good against really anything. Like it said, it's only good against like long stationary targets that don't fight back. So description. Light fighter squadron equipped with powerful active and passive sensor systems and EMP bomb launchers capable of disabling capital ships for short durations. So you can use that EMP bomb launcher to temporarily disable large capital ships if you're quick enough. And it's this ability right here. Right there's the sensor ping. Okay, so that is the scout unit that you'll be using in this game. Next, we will go to the Interceptor squadron.
Confirmed.
Which is this one right here. So, Interceptor. Primary role is to be an interceptor, anti-fighter / bomber vessel. Subclass is a light fighter. In this mod, they do separate fighters from light fighters and heavy fighters. Heavy fighters are more heavily armed and has slightly better armor, but usually can out DPS the other fighters, where light fighters usually have more speed and less weapons compared to the heavy fighters. So requirement, tech level, Mark 1 anti-fighter fighter. Engagement range, of course, is short. They're designed to engage the enemy when they approach the mothership or approach some sort of defensive target. They're not really designed to go deep into enemy territory to be used without escorts. Prerequisites, they may require the fighter facility in order to function. And for what they have on their arsenal, they have a KAC 35 RF 35 millimeter autocannon, not nanometer. That would be a really teeny gun. And they have a 2-kilometer engagement range compared to 1.6. And they also have a slightly larger kinetic turret than the reconnaissance fighter. And they come up with one SRM-16 launcher, which I believe is a missile launcher and has a 3-kilometer engagement range. Strong versus fighters and bombers. Mediocre against advanced fighters, so they're okay against fighters that are larger than them, but not really recommended to use them against that. And they're weak against corvettes, frigates, and capital ships. Description: light fighter squadron armed with kinetic autocannon and short-range missiles. The Interceptor is capable of extreme acceleration and maneuverability, making it effective against other fighters, but vulnerable to other ship classes with standard hull defense guns. So going up against the mothership that has like defensive turrets on it, or the shipyard that has like some defensive turrets on it, you don't want to use these because they will get ripped apart. It will get totally ripped to shreds. And one thing that's different from the original Homeworld game compared to this mod, your squadrons on your interceptors are a little bit larger. They're usually 5, but in this mod they're 7. So they're actually like decent sized squadrons when you build them. But I think that's about it for your primary interceptor. His primary role is to take out other fighters that are a threat to the Hiigarans, or a threat to your mothership, but not really designed to go against larger, more advanced fighters, or just basic fighters. And then next we have the light bomber, which are they're around here somewhere. There they are. So the light bomber is the first bomber that you can make in the game. I believe you can also make it on mission 1. But role: light bomber, anti-subsystem. Subclass: a light fighter. They don't require any tech. You can build it as soon as you get your fighter facility made. Their engagement range is short, same with the interceptors. Their prerequisite is fighter facility, so they just require the fighter facility to be built in order to be produced. The armament is one PBL 600 bomb launcher, which I believe is a 600. I know that's a plasma bomb launcher, and I think that one is measured in how much power it takes to launch the plasma bomb. So I think that's 600 megawatts. Engagement range of 3.5 kilometers, and then it has a 1 KAC 30 RF, 30 millimeters, so it's not as big as the Interceptor, but larger than the reconnaissance fighter. Autocannon with the same range as the Scout, or the reconnaissance fighter. Strong versus subsystems. This guy is mainly designed to weaken capital ships, not really designed to go against like other larger capital ships. They can go against frigates and fight other light fighters, so you can use them to try to disable or try to damage some frigate class ships, but they're more designed to go after like specific subsystems on like carriers or your shipyard and whatnot, like your like a fighter facility or research facility. They're more designed to go against those. Weak versus fighters, corvettes, anti-fighter frigates, and capital ships. Not really designed to dogfight. They can assist your interceptors in a dogfight, but they're not really designed to lead a dogfight. Like if you're in a dogfight and your interceptors have the enemy's attention, and you kind of know from the battle that your interceptors aren't going to be enough to take out the enemy fighters, then you can bring these in to try to help out. But leading these into a fight is a bad idea. Okay, so description. Basic attack fighter squadron with low production cost and build time. High velocity, enables quick strikes against subsystem modules, but light armor leaves it vulnerable to basic hull defense weapons. Weapon system suitable, I can read, I'm really good at reading, for pinpoint strikes on subsystems, but insufficient or direct attacks on capital ships. Wow, I completely butchered that entire description. So yeah, they're very cheap, a bomber group that you can make, but they're more designed to try to weaken the enemy by killing their subsystems and maybe take out a frigate or two that's kind of in the back, not really paying attention to the main fight, or assisting the interceptors if they need some help taking down the fighters. Okay, and you can build these as soon as you build your fighter facility. I think I said that already. Next we have the Pulsar fighter. This guy right here. Where are the Pulsar fighters? They're in this group somewhere. There they are. Pulsar fighters. I love the way these guys look. They're basically an interceptor with kind of like beefier engines and a giant pulse laser as their weapon, with a rocket launcher on the side. They're pretty cool. Anyways, Pulsar fighter, anti-corvette. This is your anti-corvette fighter you'll be using in the game. They're not really designed to go against anything else other than Corvette class ships. Tech level, Mark 1 anti-Corvette fighter, engagement short, just like the other fighters. Prerequisites, fighter facility, your research module, and your light pulsar tech. So you have to have your fighter facility built, your research module built on the mothership or whatever, and then research light pulsar tech, which unlocks the pulsar fighter. Your armament is one PIC 250, which is a 250 megawatt pulse ion cannon. One KAC 35RF 35mm autocannon pod, which is the same size as the Interceptor, so that's pretty cool. And they're strong versus corvettes and platforms. So any stationary thing that isn't strong against corvettes, it will do a pretty good job against. Mediocre versus frigates and fighters. They have a decent firepower, so they might be able to take out frigates in a good group, but not really designed for it. Same with fighters. With that autocannon, they're kind of a match for fighters, but not really designed for that kind of role. And they're weak versus heavy fighters and capital ships. So any type of capital ship that has anti-fighter weaponry, or any type of fighter that's specialized in killing other fighters that have lots of armor and whatnot, yeah, these things are no match. Definitely don't use it against those. Description: light fighter squadron armed with a pulse cannon for dispatching corvettes at close range. Armed with self-defense kinetic autocannon. Okay, so that's an autocannon turret built onto it. That's interesting. And for engaging fighters. Quick and temporary solution for holding off enemy corvettes until more capable anti-corvette units can be fielded. So they are a fast solution for a large group of corvettes coming after your fleet. Also one of my favorite fighters, at least in this mod. I don't know, just the fact that there's a giant pulsar turret like attached to the bottom just makes me happy. I believe you can build these starting on mission 3, because if you guys don't know, I did play the entire campaign over on Twitch. Eventually I'm going to play it for you guys on YouTube, but I'm going to wait till I get a little bit better at the game so I can make the videos a little bit better. The Twitch stream was more for me getting used to the game and then getting a feel for how the mod works by playing the campaign. Okay, next we have the Strike Fighter, which I believe is our advanced fighter squadron.
Roger.
Where? Strike Fighters, here they are. I think, like, the Pulsar fighters are really cool, but I think the Strike Fighters is like my favorite fighter design. I love the fact it has this giant beefy engine. I love the fact that it has like all of these guns like placed around it and these rocket pods. These guys are really cool. I really like them. So, Strike Fighter. Unit role: Space Superiority Anti-Fighter. Subclass Heavy Fighter. These are heavy fighter, anti-fighter fighters. There's a lot of fighters in that sentence. So, tech level Mark II anti-fighter fighter. Engagement range short. Prerequisites: you need a fighter facility, a research module, and FF-17 fighter R&D, which is the tech you need to unlock this. Your armament that has on it a 3 KAC 40RF 40mm autocannons at 2.4 kilometers. So it has a larger range, a larger barrel, and it has 3 barrels compared to 1 that the Interceptor has. So a lot more kinetic firepower. I need to turn edge scrolling off. That always gets me all the time. Where were we? We were on this one. So if we got that, it has 2 MRM-17 launchers at 6 kilometers, which is a lot longer than the Interceptor, and I believe the 17 stands for kilotons of TNT for how much punch that those missile launchers have. Let's see, the Interceptor had 116, so it has twice the amount of firepower and 1 more kiloton of TNT, or twice the turrets and 1 more kiloton of TNT to do a lot more damage. So all around, it's a better fighter than the Interceptors. Strong versus fighters and bombers. Weak, mediocre versus corvettes, because it has a lot of firepower, so it is kind of an okay match against corvettes. Not recommended, but it can take out a small squadrons of corvettes if you have enough of these. And then weak versus frigates and capital ships. Basically anything that has anti-fighter, well, honestly, anything that has a lot of armor. and has any sort of way of fighting off fighters. Because this guy only has 95 damage, so he doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but he's very effective against fighters. And that's one thing I really do like about this mod. Like, even though this is the best fighter we can build, it still doesn't have the firepower to take down anything that's or anything larger than a fighter class. So that's a really cool thing, because he does 95 damage per second using all of his weapons, and I believe our interceptors only have like, yeah, 300 health. So in like 3 seconds he can wipe out an entire interceptor squadron, and you can't even touch like frigate class ships. I love that. I love the fact that they balance that out really, really well in this mod. Anyways, let's get back to our strike fighter. So we're strong versus fighters and bombers, mediocre versus corvettes, weak versus frigates and capital ships. Description: advanced fighter squadron featuring heavy armament, there we go, and armor plating at a cost of speed and agility compared to the FF-25 interceptors. Can engage targets at medium range using the MRM-17 missile system, providing it with unparalleled anti-fighter performance and limited anti-corvette capabilities. So let's see the difference between the speed between these two. So the strike fighter goes 375 meters per second, interceptor goes 488. That is a big speed debuff.
Roger.
But they have 420 armor instead of 315, and they do 95 damage compared to 75.
Copy.
So much more power. You sacrifice speed and maneuverability for firepower. That's the main advantage for the strike fighter. I also like that about this mod, that even though this is an exact or a perfect upgrade from the Interceptor, other than the fact that it's more expensive, I believe it's more expensive. Yeah, it's 125 more RUs. You still can use the Interceptors if you need the speed and maneuverability instead of the firepower. So you still have options even when you unlock the advanced ones. Where in Homeworld Complex, once you got enough research and unlock the engineering division, all of the ships in the engineering division compared to the ones that you start out with in the research division are completely superior in every single way. More armor, more firepower, more speed. So there's no like, oh, I can build interceptors because they're cheap instead of using these advanced ones. It's like, no, once they're unlocked, you use the advanced ones because they're superior in every single way. Where this mod seems to balance that stuff out a little bit better, where it's like, oh yeah, you can go for the advanced one, it's a lot more power and a lot more a little bit more expensive, but you're sacrificing speed. So if there's turrets out there that are very fast tracking, they might actually shoot you down, compared to if you had an interceptor that could still outrun those turret tracking system. So just an interesting comparison that I'm going up with. Okay, and then next one is our other strike fighter, the CF-17B compared to the FF-17A. This one, I believe, is the anti-corvette strike fighter.
Standing by.
Which I also like the look of these ones. It looks like, again, a beefy interceptor with just a bunch of fun weapons on it. Like, I think it has 3 Pulsar turrets on it. Or not turrets, but Pulsar guns in whatever this thing is. Anyways, let's read about it. So, Strike Fighter CF-17B. Also, the Strike Fighter in the campaign, the original one. Let's see. I think you can start building this one on like mission 6 or 7. It's a little bit later in the game. Yeah, it's somewhere around there. I think it's when you meet the movers. That's when you can start building these. But the CF-17 is a space superiority anti-corvette fighter. This one is just designed to kill corvettes. Subclass heavy fighter. Tech level Mark II anti-corvette fighter. Engagement range short. Prerequisites: fighter facility, research module, and the FF-17 fighter R&D, LRCT 27 tech. So you just need your fighter facility, research module, and then research the tech. Your armament, you have 3 KAC 40 RF, which is the 40 millimeter autocannons at 2.4 kilometers, which is the same ones that the actual strike fighter has. But instead of getting the missile launchers, you instead get a 1 PIC 75 Pulsar, which I believe is a 75 megawatt pulsar pulse laser, and then one CR-37-27 launcher, which is a 27 kiloton missile launcher. So instead of getting two of the fast-moving 17 kiloton missile launchers, you get a Pulsar laser and a larger missile launcher, which is this baby over here. Strong versus corvettes and platforms. Mediocre versus fighters and frigates. So it's kind of the same as the other one, the Pulsar fighter. And weak versus anti-fighter frigates and capital ships. So anything that will be specializing against fighters, that's a large capital ship, it will be decimated by. Description: Advanced fighter squadron equipped with scaled down LRCT delivery system. An LRCT-27 delivers 3 high-velocity, close-range missiles for destruction of enemy corvettes formations. So unlike the Pulsar fighter that was just just has one gigantic Pulsar laser on it, it has a dumbed-down 75 megawatt Pulsar laser and the giant missile launcher instead to get rid of corvettes. So cool. Very, very cool. And then next we have our tactical bomber, which is our upgrade to our light bomber. And I believe it's kind of the main bomber squadron for the fleet. So as you can see, it kind of looks like it's very vanilla-y. Nothing really fancy with these bombers. Unit role: bomber, anti-capital ship. Secondary role: anti-subsystem. Subclass: tactical bomber. So tech level Mark 1 anti-capital ship bomber, engagement range short, just like other fighters. Prerequisite: fighter facility. This is able to build as soon as you get your fighter facility built. An armament comes with 2 PBL 600 plasma bomb launchers, which is 2 600 megawatt plasma bombs. Then you can upgrade it to have 2 PBL 900 plasma bomb launchers, which is 900 megawatts. Lots and lots of power. I wonder how these power plants are able to produce this much power for these weapons. Kind of fascinating. And then it's strong versus capital ship and subsystems, mediocre versus frigates, and weak versus fighters and corvettes. And I believe it's mediocre versus frigates because the plasma bombs are large and they're slow, so the frigates can actually outmaneuver them if they are frigates with high maneuverability and high speed. So sometimes the bombs actually don't hit their target. Description: and of course they're weak versus fighters and corvettes because they're bombers. They're not designed to go against strike craft. Description: tactical bomber squadron armed with electromagnetic plasma projectors capable of breaching cruiser class armor. Cruiser class armor. Because of their low muzzle velocity, plasma bombs are not very accurate against frigates, but they are accurate enough to target subsystem modules on capital ships. Yeah, the bombs move really slowly compared to the other bombing techniques, so they sometimes don't actually hit the frigate and actually miss, which is that's pretty cool. I like that. I like how this mod also takes the effect of like muzzle speed and like bullet speed and be like, oh, you have a powerful bomb, but if something can outmaneuver it, then it's useless. That's another good way to differentiate between the other ships that you can make in this game. So yeah, this is your main anti-capital ship bomber. Next we have the strike bomber, the BF-16C. Different version of this. The tactical bombers, I think this gets available on mission 4, or I think it's mission 5. I think this comes available on mission 5. It's somewhere around there, 4 or 5. It might even be 3. I don't quite remember. I didn't really use them much in the campaign because I preferred capital ships, but yeah, I think it becomes available in like mission 3. Anyway, strike bombers.
Confirmed.
Strike fighters. How are you doing today? Nope, that's strike fighters. I need strike bombers. Dang it!
Ready.
There you are. And strike bombers, look kind of similar to the main bombers, except their armaments, as you can tell, are a lot different. A lot more missile-based than bombing-based. But Strike Bomber, Unit Role Bomber, Anti-Frigate. Subclass Tactical Bomber. Tech level requires nothing. Engagement range short. Prerequisites fighter facility, and then heavy BF-16 weapons. So there's just a research that becomes available later on that allows you to build the ship. Comes with 2 GMP, I believe it's 6? It's either 6 or 8. I can't tell on my screen. I'm recording this like I'm literally looking at this through my recording software because I have the other computer on the other monitor. Although I could switch that over because I'm not doing anything with that computer. Anyways, it's either 6 or 8. I think it might be. Hang on. We'll do it this way. Hey, that is so much more clear. It's a 6. Alright, good to know. So, it comes with 2 GMP-6 launchers at 3.3 kilometers, and it can be upgraded with 2 SRAM-22 launchers, which are 22 kilotons of TNT missile launchers for 4 kilometers, making it even more effective against frigates. And it's strong versus frigates and capital ship when upgraded. So with that upgraded, it makes it more of a like an anti-destroyer fighter. So it basically gives it a dual role. It's good against frigates and then good against like small capital ships like destroyers and carriers. Tactical bomber squadron equipped with armor-piercing laser-guided rockets accurate enough to hit maneuvering frigates. However, these small warheads are only moderately effective against capital ship armor. It can be upgraded to fire line-of-sight SRM-20 missiles, improving its engagement range and anti-frigate and capital ship capabilities. So yeah, very good against frigates, and like I said, the tactical bomber is more designed to go against capital ships. It has a lot of firepower, but the frigates, or its plasma bombs and launches are slow, and frigates can outmaneuver it, where the strike bomber uses rockets and missiles where frigates can't outmaneuver, but they're not as powerful as the tactical bomber. So, again, differentiating between different ship classes by the type of weapons they use and the speed that they shoot. Love this mod so much. Anyways, let's go to our last bomber, which is the strategic bomber, which I actually like this bomber. It can be really annoying to fight against, and I'll show you why here in a moment once we get done with the thing. But I like the way these guys look. As you can tell, it's still a bomber class. It's got this like autocannon in front and these 2 huge missile launchers. So let's take a look at it. Strategic bomber. Its bomber, anti-capital ship is its role, subclass strategic bomber. Oh, and you get the strike craft or strike bomber late in the campaign. It's like mission 10 or 11, I think, is when it gets unlocked. I think it's one of the last fighter squadrons that you unlock. Strategic one, I think you get a little bit earlier, like 9 or 10. I know this one is the last one you unlock, so the strategic one is like 1 or 2 levels before you get the strike bomber. Anyways, back to this. So tech level Mark II anti-capital ship bomber, medium or engagement range medium, so it's a lot further away than the other ones. Prerequisites: fighter facility, heavy BF-16 weapons, and then ASM-25 launcher tech. So 3 different techs that you have to research. And an armament is 1 KAC-35RF autocannon pod, so that's a 35mm autocannon pod to protect it from fighters, so it can be used to kill small fighter squadrons. And then 2 SRM-25, which is a 37.5 kiloton launcher, and then you can upgrade that to a SRM-25 50 kiloton torpedo launcher. 50 kiloton torpedo. That's a powerful torpedo. Strong versus capital ship, obviously. Mediocre versus frigates. It has the same problem as tactical bombers when it fights against frigates. The missiles are slow, so frigates can outmaneuver it. And then it's weak versus fighters and corvettes because it's a bomber. It's not really designed to fight other fighters and corvettes. It does have a defense gun. It can be used to fight those, but it's not really useful against fighters and corvettes. It's more to defend itself so it can maybe survive a little bit longer before it gets to its destination. Description: Strategic Bomber Squadron outfit with external ASM-25 launchers. Several squadrons can dispatch cruiser-class ships in a single salvo. I've actually messed around with this. One squadron, actually 2 squadrons of this can take down a hyperspace gate. I believe it takes, I think 2 squadrons can take down a frigate if they hit it correctly. And like 3, like if you have 3 squadrons, they can take down a destroyer down to about 75% or 60%, somewhere in that range. So if you had like a large squadron of these guys, you could take down like large capital ships no problem. Flight vectors and targets should be assigned before deployment to avoid early detection and interception. So one of the unique things about this bomber is it attacks from long range. So as you can see, the missiles and whatnot have a 6-kilometer range. And 6 kilometers is about this. So if an enemy is this far away from our unit, it can launch its missiles. So it's good to, like, if you have, like, let's say this Ventus thing right here is an enemy unit. What you want to do is like move this guy around the corner, launch a missile, move it somewhere else so it doesn't get detected, launch a missile. You kind of just want to circle it around like a Corvette. You'll notice that the AI will do that in the game too, and that's kind of how I learned about it. But yeah, these guys are really cool and really unique. They can also be very stubborn to kill if you're not paying attention. You're like, why am I keep losing my capital ships? And then you see like these little like red things like flying around your mothership, and you're like, oh, strategic bombers, that's what's going on. Now their weakness is they're slow. And again, this is one of the things about this mod that still incorporates the beginning fighters, and you don't just focus on the advanced fighters whenever you get the technology. But like interceptors are like 488, and if I upgraded everything to strike fighters, they go the same speed as strategic bombers, so they won't be able to actually solve our problem if we just start getting bombed with strategic bombers. You still have to use the weaker ones. These guys, they have 320 health. You might actually be able to use fighter squadrons or reconnaissance fighters. But that would probably take a while. But yeah, strategic bombers are cool. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end this episode here. I didn't realize that this was gonna take this much explaining. So I was gonna do fighters and corvettes in this mission, but I guess next time we'll look at the corvettes. I think we'll just do, like, for this episode is all fighters. Next episode would be corvettes, and then frigates, and then capital ships, and then miscellaneous. Because there's a lot to talk about, a lot to compare when it comes to all these different ships and how you can use them in this game. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoy this. Please leave a like if you did. If you like what I do, consider subscribing, and I will check you guys out in the next video. Until then, this is Captain Soban signing out.
The Faker have arrived. Emergency hyperspace procedures initiated. The mothership must survive.